This phrase, spoken by God to Adam after the original sin, carries a depth that transcends centuries, permeating not only Christian theology, but also the way humanity perceives its existence, its daily struggles, its mortality, and its eternal destiny. This divine sentence, pronounced at this crucial moment in biblical history, establishes one of the harshest realities of human life: hard labor as a necessity for survival, and the inevitability of death as a consequence of sin. This single passage contains spiritual and philosophical implications that shape the entire human experience, from how we face daily hardships to how we deal with our own finitude. The context of this statement goes back to the Garden of Eden, where God created Adam and Eve and gave them a perfect environment filled with provision and harmony. In Eden, work was not a burden, but rather an act of stewardship and cooperation with God. Adam was placed in the garden to cultivate and keep it, but this cultivation did not involve fatigue, exhaustion, or suffering. Everything flowed in perfect synergy between man and creation. However, when Adam and Eve disobeyed God by eating from the forbidden fruit, the perfect order was broken and the curse was declared. The land, once generous, would now produce thorns and thistles, and man would have to labor with sweat and effort to obtain his sustenance. The sweat of the brow symbolizes humanity's ongoing struggle to survive. Since the dawn of civilization, human history has been marked by hard work, the need to struggle against a hostile land, and the effort to tame nature and produce food. The advent of agriculture, the development of technology, and the rise of industries, all of these reflect humanity's attempt to ease the weight of this curse. But despite all progress, the burden of work has never been eliminated. Even today, millions of people around the world wake up early, endure exhausting workdays, and face the anxiety of securing their livelihood. This reality is a constant reminder of the fallen condition of humanity. The verse also points to an inescapable truth: death. For dust you are, and to dust you will return. This is the essence of human mortality. God formed us from the dust of the earth, and at the end of our journey, our bodies return to that same dust. This phrase echoes throughout history, resonating in funerals, epitaphs, philosophical reflections, and moments when we confront the fragility of life. Everyone, regardless of wealth, power, or influence, returns to the same dust from which they came. It reminds us of the humility we must have in life, for no human achievement can alter this final destiny. However, this reality of death raises a crucial question. If life ends in dust, what is its true purpose? This question has permeated all civilizations throughout history. From Greek philosophers to modern thinkers, humanity has sought to understand the meaning of existence in the face of finitude. Some schools of thought attempt to find meaning in the mere act of living, while others turn to spirituality, seeking an answer that transcends death. In Christianity, the answer to this question is found in the redemption offered by Jesus Christ. If in Adam all die, in Christ all can be made alive. The Apostle Paul explains this truth in 1 Corinthians 15:22. For as in Adam all die, so in Christ all will be made alive. Death, although inevitable, is not the end for those who place their faith in Christ. The promise of resurrection transforms the Christian perspective on life and death. For those who believe, death is not a final sentence, but a passage to eternity with God. Jesus himself declared in John 11:25-26, "I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live even though they die, and whoever lives by believing in me will never die." These words show us that although our bodies return to dust, our souls have an eternal destiny. This understanding profoundly changes the way we live. If life is merely a brief journey before eternity, then the true purpose of existence cannot be found merely in work, the pursuit of wealth, or the attainment of status. We must live in a way that has eternal value, investing in a relationship with God and fulfilling His purpose for us. The sweat of our brow may provide us with physical bread, but it is Christ who gives us the bread of life. Moreover, the curse of hard labor also finds redemption in Christ. Paul teaches us in Colossians 3:23, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters." When we understand that our work is not just an obligation, but a way to glorify God, our daily effort takes on new meaning. Even amid exhaustion and difficulties, we can find purpose in what we do, knowing that God sees and rewards those who work faithfully. Genesis 3:19 also points to the final destiny of creation. The Bible speaks of a new heaven and a new earth, where there will be no more pain, toil, or death. Revelation 21:4 gives us this promise: "He will wipe every tear from their eyes." There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. This means that the fallen condition of the world will not be eternal. God will restore all things, and those who belong to Him will live in a reality where work will be joyful, and death will no longer exist. In light of all this, Genesis 3:19 invites us to reflect on our own lives. Are we merely struggling for earthly bread, or are we seeking the bread of life that only Christ can offer? Are we living for this passing world, or are we preparing for eternity? Do we acknowledge our fragility in the face of death, but also embrace the hope that Christ offers? These are questions that everyone must ask themselves. If there is one conclusion we can draw from this passage, it is that human life, with all its struggles and limitations, only makes sense when lived in communion with God. The sweat of our brow reminds us of our daily struggles, but it also teaches us to depend on Him for our needs. The dust to which we will return reminds us of our mortality, but it also points us to the resurrection promised in Christ. May we live each day with this perspective, finding purpose in the present and hope for the future, until the day we stand before the Lord, where there will be no more toil or death, but only eternal joy in His presence.